Slavo. Today I want to talk about loving our enemies. And one of the most challenging commands that Jesus has given us is to love our enemies. And as he said on his Sermon on the Mountain in Matthew 5:43 to 44. Matthew 5:43 to 44. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And he said this again in Luke 6:27 to 28. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you. And let's examine Jesus' command to love our enemies by first asking these three questions. Number one, who is our enemy? And our enemy can be someone who curses you, it can be someone who hates you, anyone who maybe talks behind your back, or just someone who makes fun of you or just doesn't treat you well. And it could be a family member, it could be your neighbor, a co-worker, or a classmate, or really anybody. And the second question is, why should we love our enemies? Like, what's the point? They hate us, we hate them. And we should be like sons of God, as it says in Matthew 5:45. So that you may be the sons of your Father who is in heaven. For he causes his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sends his rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. And by overcoming evil with good, we defeat our enemies. So how do we love our enemies? Well, we do this by blessing them and praying for them, as it says in Matthew 5:44. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And we also do good deeds for them. We help them out when they need it, as it says in Romans 12:20. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him, and if he is thirsty, give him a drink. For in so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. And I actually have a story about doing good deeds to your enemy. So I have this friend right now who we were not friends in 9th grade, and me and this kid, we just hated each other, and we were always out to get each other. And one day I heard a sermon about, doing good deeds to your enemies and actually making them your friends. So I decided to try this out, and the very next day, I offered him a piece of gum, and then over the next few weeks, I would try not to fight with him and stuff. And in a short while, we actually became friends. So that's something to consider. So in conclusion, enemies are those who try to hurt us, who try to do bad to us, and we should overcome them by doing good, and we should pray for our enemies and bless them and do good deeds. And if we obey, or when we obey Jesus' commands to love our enemies, we end up with less enemies and more friends. Amen.